What's up guys, Jake Lowry here, and today we are very excited because we're going to be testing out some of the most realistic swim baits that I have ever seen. Now last week I was strolling through Bass Pro Shops. I was essentially looking for lures to test out and try that I haven't used before, and two lures in particular hugely caught my eye. These are live target swim baits that look super realistic. They practically look like the bait fish that we're imitating. I'm also very excited to be fishing these lures in particular at this spot. This is a 20 to 30 acre lake. It is loaded with laydowns, it is loaded with grass, it is loaded with structure, and it makes me super excited to hope that when I throw these realistic swim baits in here, I have odds to hook into an absolute giant. Today we're going to take a look at these swim baits, see if they're really worth the money, and if the realistic paint job on these swim baits translates to a realistic action and then also translates to fish catching machine. And then we're going to launch the kayak and we are going to have a crazy day of fall swim bait fishing. All right guys, I have the two live target swim baits sitting right here. I have the live target Gizzard Shad and then the live target Sunfish swim bait. Starting off with the Sunfish swim bait, this thing looks pretty much identical to a standard sunfish. The patterns on the body are a little more pronounced than you would see on a sunfish, but we're gonna see what the action of this thing is really quickly. This Gizzard Shad lure also looks unbelievable. This thing has a better profile in my opinion than the sunfish. I also feel like this thing is going to catch some giant fish. So why don't we get these things rigged up and see what these are like. How's it going?
Are you on YouTube?
Yeah.
I've seen your stuff.
Oh yeah? I'm Jake.
Jake? Alex.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. Matthew.
Sorry, I'm filming right now. Oh no, you're good.
The guy that went to the Lucky something, like you called someone to see if they have bait and they're like, oh, you gotta go to Lucky Star.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That was like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, was it? Have you been here before?
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay. What all have you caught out here?
Just bass.
Mostly bass.
Mostly bass. I've caught some like decently sized bass in this lake, but nothing like giant.
Yeah, well, we've been here a couple days and we haven't caught anything.
Oh yeah?
But the guys next to us caught a bass yesterday.
Have you been down by the dam?
I stepped over there yesterday, no luck, but
Yep.
I didn't stay very long.
Before I got my my kayak, that's where I caught all the fish.
Out like in the...
Over here. You could drive like all the way to the end, like almost back to the road on the other side. You can walk out on the dam and like along that bank there is where I caught all the fish from the bank.
Okay.
All right guys, have a good one. All right guys, because I'm not one to talk in front of a camera, in front of people, we have moved spots, but those guys were more than friendly and kind. So shout out to those guys for watching the channel and being subscribers. That said, we have the live target Shad tied on first. This thing looks so realistic. One thing I do like in particular about this lure, it feels like the fin is situated in a position to kind of act as a weed guard for that giantly oversized hook. So that should be very, very solid. Now the only thing I really have to do here is test out the action of this thing because we know how this lure looks. It is insanely realistic, but let's get one cast out here and see what this thing is like. Okay guys, this action is unbelievable. Let me get one more cast just to make sure I know exactly what I'm gonna say. Oh yeah, guys. So the action of this Gizzard Shad lure is actually absurd. This thing doesn't have a ton of tail action, but if you watch a fish swim naturally, it's not moving its tail side to side like a swim bait. But what it does have is that opposite movement in the tail where you get the tail that moves side to side and then the other portion of the tail moves in the opposite direction. And that is a insanely natural action that actually looks really, really good in the water. The sink rate of this thing is like pretty decent. It's a little faster than what I would like. So I'm gonna bite this thing off and then we're gonna test out the Sunfish bait and see what that thing is like because I have a feeling that thing is going to be a kicker. All right guys, that is the Sunfish right here. This thing is larger in silhouette than the Shad style lure. I'm not kidding you, this thing looks insanely realistic. Like they match the contours of the head on this lure. The eyes are just absurd and that tail looks like it has so much action. So I'm very excited to get this one rigged up and see what it looks like. If it's anything like that Shad lure, it's gonna be more than worth the money. So there we have it rigged up. Let's get a short little cast of the sunfish bait and see what the action is like. Okay guys, here's the deal with these lures is as realistic as they look at face value, they look even more realistic in their swimming action. So Live Target really did a positive thing with the action of these lures and matching it with how these lures look. I feel like pretty confident in my ability to be able to hook into any type of fish on this thing. So that said, I'm gonna take maybe a couple casts around here out of just pure enjoyment and excitement for these swim baits, just to see if maybe I can get a bass to bite. And then we're gonna launch that kayak and see if we can't have just an absurdly killer day on these Live Target swim baits, because right now I feel like that is in the cards for sure. All right, guys, and we are off. I'm actually very excited to be testing out these swim baits today. The name of the game for spots, I'm gonna head straight across, and the last time I was fishing here, I actually located a new spot that I had never been to just across the way here. This creek channel goes way further back than I originally thought, and there's a lot of brush and lumber back in there. So I'm gonna head over there and throw that Shad style Live Target bait on and see if we can't just get some nice bass real quickly. But as we're heading in that direction, there is a point straight off in front of me that usually has some schooling bait fish on it. So we're gonna see if maybe we can get in on some of that action first and then just keep moving around today. It's a pretty quiet morning. It is the fall in Texas. There are a lot of people out camping because the weather's nice, but most of the outdoorsmen are focused on getting their deer for the year. For me, with my focus being on catching a giant fish, I feel like I have a good chance. Now we're in a good spot. So my strategy is to get as close as I can to this brush pile and see if that results in any fish activity. But the name of the game today is gonna be, I'm either gonna have an absurd day on these swim baits and we end up hooking a bunch of really nice fish. Oh my God, not on the first cast. Okay. I thought that was a fish, guys, on the first cast, but it wasn't. It was a piece of a bush or something. So that would have been absolutely nuts if I hooked a big fish right away. But I'm really confident in these lures. The action is subtle, but also it's big enough of a swim bait that I feel like it can get away with having a more subtle action and kind of rely more on its silhouette and realistic look. Okay, we did pick up some grass, which means my belly was probably on the bottom, which in 5 feet of water is more or less surprising. I'm probably gonna have to burn this thing in pretty quickly. Come on. I've seen a bunch of stuff on the sonar, so why don't we kind of make a cast straight out from this point, see what happens. Be nice if we can get a fish. Come on. There we go. Okay. There's a lot of little kids at the campground today, so if you hear any of them playing, that's what that is. This backside at this point can sometimes be really good. This thing does require me to fish it pretty quickly because of the sink rate, and then also the tail doesn't give the best action. Okay, so one thing I have to watch with this lure is if I retrieve it too slow, the action does get pretty bad. There's a minimum cadence at which you need to retrieve this lure. Otherwise, you're pretty much just retrieving in a big hunk of plastic. So that's something for me to keep in mind, that I need to keep my retrieve rates up. while I'm fishing this. I'm gonna test how weedless this thing is. See how much it likes wood. Okay, it definitely likes wood. Keep that in mind, guys. If I can be incognito here, this actually set me up really good. Let's see, get back in that corner. There we go. Come on. What? This looks like such a good spot right here. This looks like a good spot to utilize my kayak stability right here. Oh, okay. Let's see what kind of activity we got over here. Come on, fish. This spot looks absurd. I feel like there has to be a big fish in here. There's literally no way. 0% chance that there isn't a fish in here that wants to just completely destroy this thing. Throw it back in this corner. I don't know. If I'm a 10-pound bass, I'm right back in this little creek arm in the fall. You kind of have two creek channels that converge right here, and there's a point that naturally comes out around here. So if I kind of follow where that point meets and then cast adjacent to it, I think that might be a good high probability cast. So let's see. In the fall, they are kind of closer towards the mouths versus, well, I was right in the fact that it was a little shallower over here. Yeah, in the fall, they're further out into the main lake. I'm kind of more towards the middle of the channels. How's it going? I was the intruder. All right, guys. So I'm gonna kind of change up the strategy. So far, I've just been more or less banging the old bank here, but my updated strategy, I'm gonna kind of paddle around this lake just super slowly and see if I can't locate some bait, right? Because I don't want to go too fast. If I go too fast, then my sonar will lose communication. So if I just go slow enough, and then maybe I can locate a ball of bait, and I'm gonna go kind of straight towards that point, maybe go 50 yards off of that, then move and kind of cut across there, maybe take a crescent pattern towards that other bank, go a little up that creek arm, and see if we can't just locate some fish activity right now, because I could tell you that they're not sitting on the bank really good. So there has to be something that these fish are doing. Okay, it really kind of goes up in depth right there. Oh yeah, that is actually a big old ball of bait. It looks like probably the, this is bait, guys. This is where all the fish are. I found a giant ball of bait, guys. I want to get the shad one back on. The bait is a little smaller than what I'm looking at. Kind of just chased it over here. I do want to go over the ball just to see what it looks like on the sonar. Okay. I don't want to put the bait down by going over it, but this is for sure my highest probability of catching something today. Just running that thing straight through there. And who knows, maybe the fish aren't feeding on them. I feel like they have to be. There's that big a school of bait. I feel like that is like bass heaven right there. Oh, first bite. First bite, guys. That was certainly a bite. Come on. All right. I couldn't get any single fish off that school of shad, which tells me one of two things: is they are super finicky today, or they're not on that school. We saw a couple fish on that school, but like there wasn't like a whole school of bass eating those shad. So, you know, they seem to be pretty spread out today, because if they weren't, there would have been more than a blow up every 10-20 minutes on that giant school. So that said, I'm still feeling pretty hopeful about my potential to hook into some fish today. We're gonna keep the vibes good and see if we can't make it happen. That is the tick I was looking for. Okay, stay down. Stay down. Nice fish, guys. Nice fish. Nice fish. Nice fish. Oh my gosh, finally. Finally on the live target. Finally. That is a nice 2-pounder. The only fish in this lake that are willing to bite are on these schools of shad. I'm telling you right now. Let's get a weight on them. And let's see, man, does that get me excited. I finally got a bite on the live target lure. And like, I don't even know how many hours of fishing. We're probably 5 hours in. Okay, it's only 1.5 pounder too. But man, that is why we grind for so long, is finally to catch something, man. That live target lure is good. Not drop my line in the water. That feels good, guys. That feels good. That guy on the kayak around me is probably like, where the hell is this guy fishing? You fish where the bait are, and the bait are right here. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up the video. Unfortunately, it wasn't a terribly successful day. We did end up catching a fish on the live target swim bait. Those swim baits are pretty solid. Now, the action of them is very, very subtle. So they have a time and a place. It's not a swim bait you want to use as a reaction style lure. It's more of a chuck and slow retrieve style of a swim bait. I wouldn't necessarily say that you're going to get a ton of action out of that thing. That said, we had a crazy couple schools of shad that we ran in today. It was weird because the fish weren't seemingly on those shad that heavily, but we did finally end up catching a fish on a school of shad. So pretty happy with that. Again, that little swim bait did work out. I tried a bunch of different lures and it was the only one that got bit in that weird school of shad. So that said, I would definitely buy those swim baits again and add them to my tackle box. I just think the fishing wasn't absolutely on fire today as I expected it was going to be, and there was nothing against the swim baits. It was more so of a conditions and kind of lake specific thing, not necessarily a bait specific thing. That said, guys, if you like this video, make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you guys next time. If you enjoyed that video, check out my YouTube channel where I have a bunch of fishing and outdoors related videos. Also, don't forget to click subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss on any future videos.